The old chapel stood on a hill, isolated, forgotten. Its silhouette was a haunting reminder of a time long past, shrouded in mystery and cloaked in the whispers of the damned. The moonlight cast eerie shadows on its ancient stones, and the wind carried the faintest echoes of sorrowful cries. Its stone walls were crumbling, a testament to the relentless passage of time. Vines choked the entrance as if nature itself sought to reclaim the cursed ground. Locals whispered tales, dark tales that sent shivers down the spine of anyone who dared to listen. They spoke of a malevolent presence that lingered, unseen but felt, in every corner of the forsaken chapel. They spoke of a time long ago, a time of shadows and secrets. The villagers, with their hushed voices and furtive glances, recounted the legend of the chapel. It was said that once it had been a place of light and hope, a sanctuary for the weary and the faithful. But that was before the darkness descended. Centuries ago, the chapel thrived. It was a beacon of faith, its walls resounding with the joyous hymns of the devout. The stained glass windows glowed with vibrant colors, casting a kaleidoscope of light upon the congregation. The air was filled with the scent of incense and the sound of prayers. Its halls were filled with song. The choir's voices soared to the heavens, a harmonious offering to the divine. Then came the ritual, a ceremony meant to protect, but twisted by desperation and fear. The villagers, in their quest for salvation, made a pact with an ancient evil. The price, souls. The air grew heavy, thick with the stench of malevolence. Darkness consumed the chapel, snuffing out the light and leaving only despair in its wake. The once holy ground became a place of dread, where the shadows seemed to move with a life of their own. Screams echoed through the night, a cacophony of anguish that pierced the soul. Then silence fell. The chapel was sealed, its doors barred and its windows shuttered. Left to rot, it became a monument to the folly of man and the power of the darkness that had claimed it. The whispers of the damned lingered, a chilling reminder of the price paid for a moment of hope. The chapel became a place of dread. Those who dared venture near felt a chill, an oppressive presence. They spoke of whispers on the wind, cold spots, and the feeling of being watched. The veil between the living and the dead was thin here, ripped open by the dark ritual. Spirits lingered, trapped, their anguish palpable, their rage a simmering threat. Word of the cursed chapel spread. It reached a group of friends, seekers of the unknown. They were drawn to the darkness, lured by the promise of the supernatural. There was Sarah, the historian, haunted by the past, John, the skeptic, seeking answers, Emily, the empath, drawn to the pain of the trapped souls, and Mark, the leader, driven by a thirst for the truth no matter the cost. The group arrived at the chapel. The sun was setting, casting long, eerie shadows. A cold wind whipped through the trees, as if warning them to turn back, but they pressed on. The air grew colder as they approached the chapel. The silence was broken only by the sound of their own breath and a faint scratching sound coming from within, the sound of something alive, waiting. Section 5, Threshold of Terror. They forced the old wooden doors open. The hinges groaned in protest. The smell hit them first, musty and rotten. The air inside was thick with dust, and something else, fear. The group stepped inside. Their footsteps echoed in the vast emptiness. The darkness seemed to press in on them. Whispers slithered around the edges of their awareness. They were not alone. Section 6, Whispers in the Darkness. The group fanned out, their breaths visible in the cold, damp air. The ancient walls seemed to close in on them, the weight of centuries pressing down. Their flashlights cutting through the gloom, casting long, eerie shadows that danced on the walls. Each step echoed, a reminder of the emptiness that surrounded them, revealing glimpses of the chapel's past. A shattered altar, once a place of reverence, now lay in ruins. The remnants of forgotten prayers seemed to linger in the air, a silent testament to the passage of time. A prayer book, its pages yellowed with age, lay open on a dusty pew. The words, though faded, spoke of hope and faith, now overshadowed by the darkness that had taken hold. And the faint outline of a symbol on the floor, barely visible in the dim light. It seemed to pulse with a life of its own, a remnant of ancient rituals long forgotten, the symbol from the ritual. The whispers grew louder, filling the air with a sense of dread. They seemed to come from the very walls, a chorus of voices from the past. They seemed to be coming from everywhere and nowhere at once. They spoke of suffering, of anger. The air grew thick with tension, each whisper a thread in a tapestry of despair. and of a thirst for revenge. The group could feel the weight of the chapel's history bearing down on them, the anger of those long gone seeping into their very bones. They knew they were not alone, that the spirits of the past were watching, waiting. The whispers grew louder still, a cacophony of voices that seemed to pierce the very fabric of reality. The group huddled together, their flashlights flickering as if in response to the unseen presence. They had come seeking answers, but now they were faced with the raw, unfiltered emotions of the past. The chapel, once a place of solace, had become a prison of memories, each one more painful than the last. The whispers spoke of betrayal, of promises broken and dreams shattered. They told tales of love lost and lives cut short. The group could feel the weight of these stories, each one a heavy burden on their hearts. They knew they had to find the source of the whispers, to understand the pain that lingered in the air. But with each step, the darkness seemed to grow, the whispers more insistent. The chapel was alive with the echoes of the past, a living, breathing entity that demanded to be heard. The group pressed on, their resolve tested with every passing moment. They knew that to leave now would be to abandon the spirits to their suffering, to let the darkness win. And so, they continued, their flashlights cutting through the gloom, their hearts heavy with the weight of the whispers in the darkness. Section 7. The Heart of the Curse. This was the place where legends spoke of unspeakable horrors, where the very air seemed to whisper secrets of the past. The chapel stood as a silent sentinel, guarding the mysteries within its ancient walls. They reached the heart of the chapel. The atmosphere grew heavier with each step, as if the walls themselves were closing in, suffocating them with the weight of centuries-old sorrow and despair. The epicenter of the dark ritual. Here the stones were stained with the remnants of countless ceremonies, each one adding to the malevolent energy that now permeated the air. The altar, cold and unyielding, seemed to pulse with a life of its own. The air here crackled with energy. The temperature plummeted. Emily gasped. Her breath visible in the frigid air, she felt an icy hand grip her heart, squeezing tighter with each passing moment. She could feel the pain of the trapped souls. It was overwhelming. Their anguish seeped into her very being, a cacophony of silent screams that threatened to drown her in their despair. Suddenly the shadows around them began to move, twisting and contorting, forming into grotesque shapes. The darkness seemed to come alive, each shadow a fragment of a tortured soul, writhing in eternal torment. The faces of the damned, their features twisted in agony, eyes hollow and pleading, mouths open in silent screams. Each face a testament to the suffering that had taken place here. Their eyes burned with hatred. They had been waiting for someone to release them, or perhaps to join them in their eternal suffering. The intensity of their gaze was almost unbearable, a searing heat that pierced through the darkness. Emily's heart pounded in her chest. She could feel the weight of their stares, each one a dagger of pure malice. Her hands trembled as she reached out, compelled by an unseen force. An ancient book lay open on the altar, its pages turning by themselves. The cryptic symbols seemed to dance on the parchment, each one a key to unlocking the dark secrets of the past. A single candle flickered in the darkness, casting long dancing shadows on the walls. The flames seemed to struggle against the oppressive gloom, a tiny beacon of hope in a sea of despair. Despite the fear that gripped her, Emily's resolve hardened. She knew she had to uncover the truth no matter the cost. Her eyes, filled with determination, reflected the flickering candlelight. She reached for the book, her hand hovering over the pages. The air around her seemed to hum with anticipation, as if the very chapel was holding its breath, waiting for her next move. As her fingers brushed the ancient parchment, a surge of energy coursed through her. The symbols glowed with an eerie light, and she felt a connection to the countless souls that had been bound by the curse. Emily's face was illuminated by the glowing book, her expression a mix of awe and fear. She knew that she was on the brink of uncovering something monumental, something that could change everything. The shadows began to retreat, as if pushed back by the light emanating from the book. The oppressive atmosphere started to lift, replaced by a sense of hope and possibility. Emily stood tall, holding the book close to her chest. The light surrounded her, a protective barrier against the darkness. She had found the heart of the curse, and now she had the power to break it. Panic surged through the group. They were surrounded. John stumbled back, his foot caught on something. He fell. His flashlight clattered away, plunging them into darkness. The shadows descended, clawing, scratching, pulling. John screamed, his voice echoing through the empty chapel. The others scrambled to help him, but it was too late. The shadows had him. The remaining members of the group were scattered, separated in the darkness, each alone with their terror. Sarah found herself backed against a wall, the whispers swirling around her, mocking her. She could feel their icy fingers brushing against her skin, their cold breath on her neck. They were toying with her, savoring her fear. She closed her eyes and prayed for a miracle. Mark stumbled through the darkness. He could hear Emily calling his name, her voice filled with terror. He had to find her. He had to get them out of there. Then he saw it, a faint light flickering in the distance. He surged forward, hope flaring in his chest. Could it be a way out, or was it just another trick of the shadows? Mark finally reached Emily. They were both shaken, but alive. They had escaped the clutches of the darkness, but they would never be the same. They left the chapel, carrying the weight of their experience and the chilling truth about the darkness that lurked within. The chapel remained, a testament to the dangers of dabbling in the supernatural, a chilling reminder that some doors are better left unopened, some truths better left buried,